Hello, I'm Philip Sneller. Welcome to Window on the Word. Today we come to Mark chapter 14. Now the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread were 2 days away, and the chief priests and the scribes were seeking how they might seize him in deceit, so they might kill him. For they were saying, "Not during the festival, lest there be an uproar of the people." And while he was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, while he was reclining at table, a woman came who had an alabaster flask of very expensive, genuine perfumed oil of nard, and having broken the alabaster flask, she poured it over his head. But there were some who, having become indignant within themselves, were saying, "Why this waste of the perfumed oil? For this perfumed oil could have been sold for more than 300 denarii and been given to the poor." And they were scolding her. But Jesus said, "Leave her alone. Why do you trouble her? She did a good work for me, because you always have the poor with you, and whenever you wish to do good to them, you may do it. But you will not always have me. She has done what she could. She anointed my body beforehand in preparation for burial. And truly I say to you, wherever the gospel may be preached in the whole world, also what she did will be told in memory of her." Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went to the chief priests in order that he might betray him to them. And when they heard, they were glad and promised to give him money. And he began looking for how he might conveniently betray him. And on the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, when they were sacrificing the Passover lamb, his disciples said to him, "Where do you want us to go and prepare so that you may eat the Passover?" And he sent 2 of his disciples and said to them, "Go into the city, and a man carrying a water jar will meet you. Follow him, and wherever he enters, say to the master of the house that the teacher says, 'Where is the guest room where I may eat the Passover with my disciples?' And he will show you a large upstairs room that has been furnished. And there prepare for us." And the disciples went out and came to the city and found it just as he told them. And they prepared the Passover. And when it was evening, he came with the 12. And while they were reclining at table and eating, Jesus said, "Truly I say to you, that one of you will betray me, one who is eating with me." They began to be sad and to say to him one after another, "Surely not I." And he said to them, "One of the 12, one who is dipping with me in the bowl. Because the Son of Man goes just as it is written concerning him. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would be better for that man if he had not been born." And while they were eating, having taken bread, after blessing it, he broke it and gave it to them and said, "Take, this is my body." And having taken a cup, when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank from it. And he said to them, "This is my blood of the covenant that is poured out for many. Truly I say to you that I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new in the kingdom of God." And after they sang a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. And Jesus said to them, "You will all fall away, for it is written, 'I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered.' But after I am raised, I will go ahead of you to Galilee." And Peter said to him, "Even if they all fall away, certainly I will not." And Jesus said to him, Truly I say to you that this very night, before a rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. But he said with great emphasis, If I must die with you, I will not deny you. And they were all saying the same. And they were going to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, Sit here while I pray. And he took along Peter and James and John with him, and he began to be distressed and troubled, and he said to them, My soul is deeply grieved to the point of death. Stay here and be on the alert. And having gone on a little farther, he threw himself to the ground and began praying that, if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. And he was saying, Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. Remove this cup from me. Yet not as I want, but as you want. And he came and found them sleeping. And he said to Peter, Simon, are you asleep? Were you not able to stay awake 1 hour? Be on the alert and pray, so that you may not come into temptation. On the one hand, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And having gone away again, he prayed, saying the same thing. And when he came again, he found them sleeping, because their eyes were heavy, and they did not know what to answer him. And when he came the 3rd time, he said to them, Sleep from now on and rest. Enough. The hour has come. Behold, the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let's go. My betrayer has come. And immediately, while he was still speaking, Judas arrived, one of the 12, and with him a crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests and the scribes and the elders. Now the one who betrayed him had given them a sign, saying, Whoever I kiss is him. Seize him and lead him away under guard. And when he came, he immediately approached him and said, Rabbi! And he kissed him. And they laid hands on him and seized him. But a certain one of those who were present drew a sword and struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. And when Jesus replied, he said to them, Have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs to apprehend me? Every day I was with you in the temple teaching, and you did not arrest me, but in order that the scriptures may be fulfilled. And having abandoned him, they all fled. And a certain young man was following him, who was clothed with a linen cloth on his naked body, and they seized him, but having left the linen cloth, he fled naked. And they led Jesus away to the chief priests, and all the chief priests and the elders and the scribes were assembled. And Peter followed him at a distance as far as inside the courtyard of the high priest, and he was sitting with the servants and warming himself by the fire. And the high priest and the whole Sanhedrin were seeking testimony against Jesus to put him to death, but they found none. For many were giving false testimony against him, and the witnesses were not consistent. And some, having risen, were bearing false witness against him, saying, We ourselves heard him saying, I myself will destroy this temple made by hands, and within 3 days I will build another not made by hands. Yet not even concerning this was their testimony consistent. And when the high priest stood up in their midst, he asked Jesus, saying, Do you answer nothing? What is it these are testifying against you? But he remained silent and answered nothing. Again the high priest asked him and said to him, Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed? And he said, I am. And you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest, having torn his robes, said, "What further witness do we need? You heard the blasphemy, and what does it appear to you?" And they all condemned him to be deserving of death. And some of them began to spit on him, and to cover his face, and to strike him with their fists, and to say to him, "Prophesy." And the servants caught him with slaps in the face. And Peter was still below in the courtyard when one of the female servants of the high priest came. And when she saw Peter warming himself, she looked at him and said, "You also were with the Nazarene, Jesus." And he denied it, saying, "Neither do I know nor understand what you are saying." And he went outside into the forecourt, and a rooster crowed. And when the female servant saw him, she began again to say to those standing by, "This man is one of them." And again he denied it. And after a little while again, those who were present were saying to Peter, "Truly you are one of them, for you also are a Galilean." And he began to curse and swear, "I do not know this man of whom you speak." And immediately for a second time a rooster crowed. And Peter remembered the word that Jesus said to him, "Before a rooster crows twice, you will deny me 3 times." And when he beat himself, he wept. Thank you for listening. To God be the glory.